Hey, good afternoon, my dear beloved brothers and sisters. Hey, this is Matthew, Mr. Hope Richerzhagen with Phenomenal Marriage. Just another thought for the day on the story that we tell ourselves. You know, we all live inside of a story, and the story leads to a bigger story. And every single one of us is inside that, and there's meaning. And there's value and there's purpose in those stories. Or if you tell yourself a negative story, there's a lack of love and there's loss and there's despair in the story. And what I want to talk today about is the story that we tell ourselves. The most important story is the story we tell ourselves. And most of the pain that we experience as human beings is honestly self-created. And it's not that it doesn't hurt. It's just that it's not, I'm trying to explain this carefully. It's not that it's not real, because it is real, but it doesn't have to be that way. Let me explain it that way. It's true pain that you don't have to experience. And let me explain. There was a story that I heard recently about this lady, and she was talking about how her husband didn't love her. And the guy that was talking to her is like, okay, how do you know your husband doesn't love you? Because he forgot my birthday. And so two things happen to us every time we experience something. The actual event, there's like a picture that our eyes take. There's an audio clip that our ears take. If something physical happens to us, then there's a memory in our brain. So all these things are biochemically happening to us. And at the same time, our brain is writing a story. It's attaching a meaning to the events that happened. And so this woman said, my husband doesn't love me because he forgot my birthday. And there was a gentleman there and he said, how about if I offer you a different story? And she's like, what do you mean? How about if I say this? How about if I say, my husband who loves me forgot my birthday? And she was completely blown away. She moved from being judgmental and critical and condemnatory to having empathy. Like, why? How could somebody who loves me forget my birthday? I wonder what's going on. It put her into the inquisitive mode, not inquisition. She was in the inquisition mode. And that's so important for us, is to tell ourselves an empowering story. It's so easy to judge other people. Well, he did this because he doesn't love me. He did this because he's whatever. And that's why it's so dangerous in a relationship when we label our spouse. When we say, well, I'm married to a narcissist. I'm married to a whatever, selfish pig. Whatever word you want to put in there. What happens is your brain, every time something happens, your brain goes to work to tell a story. And if you've already labeled their behavior, if you've already labeled them that way, then everything they do goes through that filter. And your spouse may not be like that, at all. But your brain is looking for evidence that finds that to be true. And so more than likely, because every single one of us has a confirmation bias. And what that confirmation bias says I'm looking for information for what I know to be true. I know this to be true, so I'm looking for information that agrees with that. And any information that disagrees with that is hardly considered. And anything that agrees with it is hardly considered as well. It's just like, well, there you go. I knew that was true. I knew he was a pig. I knew he was a selfish monster. I knew, well, what you're doing is you told yourself a story, and so he does something or she does something, and what happens is you're gathering little bits of information, and it may not be true. This guy that forgot this gal's birthday, he might not be a selfish pig. He might just have forgotten. He might have, whatever. I love the story because it just shows how fickle we are, how funny we are as human beings. There's a story that Emerson Eggerichs tells about this guy that bought his wife a birthday card for the anniversary. He's not a detail person. He's just like me. Now, guys, I would say this, man up on your game. Like, if you want your wife to really feel loved, really love her. Like, step up. At the same time, ladies, give your guy a break. Drop the expectations and just love him. Like him for who he is. And accept him, and he's gonna, because people live up to your expectations or down to your expectations. And when we have a high expectation for our spouse and they don't meet it, then what happens is it disempowers them. So next time he's not going to try. The same spouse that got beat up for he didn't do the dishes right, or he got a birthday card for an anniversary card, next year he's not going to do anything. He got beat up for what he did. Why try? And so it's really super duper important. The story that we tell ourselves needs to be empowering. It needs to give grace to our spouse. We need grace, and our spouse needs grace. We all need grace. And when you tell yourself an empowering story, my spouse did this because, we're either walking around with a garbage bag behind us and we're picking up little things. Oh, look, he did that again. Oh, look, she did that again. Oh, look. Or we're not walking around like that. And we just say, you know what? I love my spouse. And something happens and you're like, you know what? That amazing, wonderful woman of mine, she probably just forgot. Love keeps no record of wrongs. And that you can live like that. Honestly, it's so freeing. It's so empowering. It so provides health to a relationship to live like that, to live without expectation, without demand, without control. Without freedom, there can be no love. So I just wanted to talk today about the story that we tell ourselves. And this right here is so powerful, because whatever we're looking for, we're going to find. And if you tell yourself a negative story, your brain is going to go out to fit the events that are there into that mold. And it basically dooms your relationship. And it's not the other person's fault, honestly, when we have a negative outlook like that. So let's love one another. Let's seek to serve one another. Let's walk in love, even as Christ has loved us. Let's not put a stumbling block in front of our brother or sister. Let's tell ourselves an empowering story. If they forget something, they love me and they forgot something. If they didn't do something that they promised to do, you know what? They probably meant to do that. And I'm not going to nag them. I'm just going to, if I really want it done, I'm going to just bring it up and be like, hey, could you do this for me? No pressure, no guilt. And what that does is it frees your spouse to serve you. People live up to or down to our expectations. And if you love them, you like them as a person, and you seek to serve them, and then you ask for what you want, it's amazing. It makes marriage wonderful. If you have an expectation and your spouse doesn't live up to it, and you judge them and you condemn them and you withhold your love until they do better, you're not going to experience a good marriage, because you're going to reap what you sow, and what you're sowing is awful. It's dependency. It's not love. And I encourage you, don't be like that. Be light in love and give your spouse room to turn towards you and enjoy the miracle of love in marriage. Hey, this is Matthew, Mr. Hope Richerzhagen. We're here for you to empower, equip, and encourage you to experience all that God has for you in your marriage. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.